Welcome back to the No Gray Areas podcast. I'm your host, Patrick McCullough. You tuned in for an incredible episode where we dive into the inspirational journey of Nino and Renee. This conversation is driven by faith and showcases Renee's selfless story on how she donated her kidney to a complete stranger. This discussion proves to you and me that miracles happen through ordinary people. Let's get started. Nino and Renee, welcome to the No Gray Areas podcast. It is a joy to have you here. So I'm going to just jump right in to the deep end of this pool. Renee, why in the world would you give your kidney to a complete stranger?
God told me to.
Really?
Really.
Can you just, and we're going to jump into this whole story, and our audience right now is probably a little bit in shock. They're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So this is going to be great. Kidney transplant. You needed a kidney. Renee, you, and we're going to get into how this all happened, but you did not know each other in any way, and this just recently happened for you. January 3rd was when this, right? So I'm not sure when this podcast will actually drop, but we're sitting here about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 6 weeks after that took place. So Renee, let's just back up a little bit. You actually just saw a sign on the back of his truck?
Yeah. I was walking my dogs, and it just in our new neighborhood, and I walked by his truck, and he had a sticker on the back of it that said, "I need a kidney. Can you help me?" And then it had an email address, and I think his phone number was there. And I just had this overwhelming sadness, truly, that I just felt so sad that he was in such need that he would go to those lengths. And I just felt God I just said, "Thank you, Jesus. Please help this man." And I just kept walking, and I felt the Spirit of the Lord say, "No, you're going to help this man."
Wow.
And I laughed it off. I mean, I truly in my head was like, haha, you're funny. Great sense of humor.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah.
And I just kept on walking, and I got back to my house and let my dogs off the leash. And I had the Holy Spirit came over me and said, "You may not be able to give this man a kidney, but you can give him something, whether it's a word of encouragement, a hug, a cry, something. Go ask him what he needs." And I just walked right over to his truck. And oddly enough, he was sitting in his truck. And I just knocked on the window, and he was on the phone with his nephrologist, which is his kidney specialist. And he just said, "1 minute." And I just waited very patiently. And he got off the phone, and I said, "I noticed that you have a sticker on your truck. Do you still need a kidney?" And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "I want to help you." And he turned his truck off and invited me into their office. And we just went in for a few minutes and had a brief conversation. And I said, "I don't know if I can do this for you, but I'm going to try."
Wow.
Yeah.
Nino, what was that like for you? Well, first of all, if you would have known while she was standing outside of the truck, what a crazy story. You know, you're on the phone, you're literally on the phone with your doctor about the kidney, and you go one moment. But if you would have known, you could be like, "1 moment, my future."
Right.
Yeah. So what was that like for you? You're sitting in your truck, and someone knocks on the window, and you roll down the window. Walk us through that.
I rolled down the window. I told we were just about done with our conversation. So I did say 1 second, the window was up. And I got off the phone. And at first I thought, okay, it's a homeowner that has a complaint or something. Mm-hmm. But it's far from that. So I rolled down my window, and she asked me if I still needed a kidney. And I said, yes. And she just said, "I want to help you." So I invited her inside. We spoke for a while. I put her in contact with my coordinator, and it went off from there.
Wow. Now, you had been going through dialysis for 2.5 years?
2.5 years. Point? Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 4 hours each session.
Yeah. And that's, so walk us through what that is. Like, let's say some of our audience doesn't know what dialysis is or what you have to go through for dialysis.
Yeah, so the kidney's function is to clean your blood from what you intake, food and stuff. And the kidney's purpose is to filter your blood.
Yeah.
So with my kidney not working, I had to get the assistance of the machine, the dialysis machine. and it filters, it drains your blood and filters it and then puts it back in your body.
So it's taking the blood out of your body, running it through a artificial kidney in a sense.
Yes,
and
the
then
machine.
putting it back in your body.
Correct.
And you're doing this 4 hours a day,
Monday,
3 days
Wednesday,
a week.
yes.
My goodness.
It's time consuming and it's painful. After each session, I'm like out of it. My body is sore and achy, and I usually just go to bed for the whole day because I can't function.
So you're just tired and exhausted. And you had a job where you were traveling at times. And so you were just telling me before we turn on these mics that when you went to another city, you would actually have to find a place, a hospital that you could go to, and you'd go there at like 4 a.m. and do this before
my meetings would start. So while everyone was recovering from the night before, I got up early to go to the dialysis center, would do my 4 hours, and then return back in time to start the meetings.
So, Nino, a lot of our audience are just listen to the audio, but we do have a percentage of them that watch the YouTube as well. So they're going to see this visually. So can you just show us, for those that, all the audio people now, you're missing out, but I'll try to explain it. But right before we turned this on, you were showing me your arm there. You said, put your finger right there. It's right by your bicep, your left bicep. And I put my finger on there, and I can feel your, what your heartbeat, just boom, boom, boom. So what was that? What is that?
So this is called a fistula.
Okay.
It's a vein that they connect to my artery, to my heart, so that they have good blood flow. What you're feeling is the flow of the blood.
Yeah.
And dialysis does a fistula, and they put in 2 needles. So every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I got 2 needles put in me.
Yeah.
The first needle takes the blood out of my body. It filters it, and then simultaneously, after it's filtered, it goes back in through the second needle.
Yeah.
After a while, you kind of don't even feel the needles going in anymore because there's so much scarring.
Yeah.
But for 4 hours, I would just sit there on the chair, usually lay down. And I used to do it early in the morning, so I would try to sleep a little.
Yeah. So you had been going through this for quite a while. You're on the donor list, which is quite a mess, right? I mean, it's just, there's a lot of people on the donor list.
Yeah.
Walk us through a little bit what that means and how frustrating that can be at times.
Yeah, Arizona has thousands and thousands of people waiting for a kidney. And in fact, when this all started, the doctor told me in Arizona, it averages 3 to 7 years before you get a kidney. So I figured, okay, well, I'm going to be doing this for a while. A living donor helps the process go a lot quicker because you have someone that's ready to go. Most people get a kidney from either someone who's deceased.
Yeah.
And then that causes a bunch of problems too because, the person passed away.
Yeah.
But so getting a living donor is the optimal way to get the transplant.
Yeah. And you had been on that list, you're waiting. So that day you're sitting in your truck, and I want to ask in a moment about how those signs were made, and because your sister had a big part in this, right?
Yeah.
But you're sitting in your truck, and how long had you been on that list then? How long had you been waiting at that point?
So what's funny about the list is you can get on the list, and as quickly as that happens, you can be off the list depending on the tests that you're doing, and if they find other issues, they'll take you off the list.
So you had been going, you had told me that before we turned our mics on. You had been going on and off the list because
Correct.
They'd find another issue in your body and they'd have to fix that.
Yes.
And then before they'd put you back on the list. So you had been going on and off this list for how long?
About 2 years.
About 2 years.
Like the last time they found a clogged artery, so they had to put a stent in me.
Yeah.
So they took me off the list.
Yeah.
Now, the good thing about it is when you're off the list, you're off, right? So you're not a candidate. But as soon as they put you back on the list, it's not like you lose your spot. Yeah. And then having a living donor just kind of moves you all the way up.
Yeah. And I'm bouncing around a little bit in this interview, but I'm almost a little shell shocked here, sitting here, because this is such a fascinating story. Again, all of us being people of faith, I can't help but pause here for a moment and just say, isn't it incredible that when you were walking that day, Renee, that we know that God knew exactly what that guy in that truck needed. And
He knew that you would be a match. You didn't know that. He didn't know that. Doctors did, but he knew that, and how he orchestrated that whole thing. And a lot of it came from you just being obedient to that voice.
Yeah.
Right, Renee? Like
Yeah.
you heard him saying, just go down and encourage him if nothing else.
Yeah.
And so again, this podcast is built around the power and complexity of human choice,
Yeah.
that we make our choices and eventually our choices make us. But you had a choice in that moment.
Yep.
Right? You could have ignored what you heard God telling you, but you chose not to.
Yeah.
How has that, making that decision to walk back and knock on that window, how has that changed you, or has it?
You know, it just confirms for me how wonderful God is, how he does know every need we have at every moment that other people don't even recognize, right? I think the power and the grace that God gives us as human beings, I don't even think we know we carry.
Yeah.
And it's just an affirmation for me that God is so good and that he performs miracles every day, even if other people don't see them.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, God, you know, he stands by our choices. We don't always choose right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've made so many mistakes in my life, and I have not listened to the voice of God, and I have regretted it deeply for so long afterwards, that I told myself, if he reveals himself to me, I will listen. And I tell him that every morning when I wake up.
Mm-hmm.
I am yours. I'm just a vessel. However it is that you want to use me, put whoever you want in my path. I will follow you.
Was that a pattern in your life at that time? Because I heard you say, Renee, that when you back up, you look back and you see where there was a lot of mistakes you made where you didn't listen to him, and you had regrets over that.
Mm-hmm.
By this time, was this a pattern in your life where you were going, I'm going to, this prayer that you say in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
were you doing that at that time, or was this kind of something that initiated that?
No, I had been on my path for a while then. You know, when you're a baby Christian and you're just coming into your faith, and I encourage people that I know to ask the Holy Spirit to come into your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like after I did that, when you're growing in your faith and you're becoming who you are and who you're supposed to be in Christ, after I asked him for that thing, that favor, like, please give me the gift of the Holy Spirit, I could hear the voice of the Lord. And it was such a beautiful thing to be able to know that that was his voice and not mine.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I started to listen and I did all the things, right? If you guys, are followers of Christ, he will ask you to do things you do not want to do. And weird things,
that's so true,
or odd
isn't it?
things that you're like,
That makes you uncomfortable, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Go talk to that person, or just go feed that person. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is really weird, like embarrassing. This person doesn't know me. They're standing on a corner. Like, who am I? Right. Yeah. But when I really started listening to that still small voice, the miraculous things that came from it, just the fulfillment, just the peace, the joy, the love, the kindness that I received from doing those things for other people filled my whole life. And I, at that moment, was like, that's why I said, if you use me, however you see fit, use me, and I will follow you.
Yeah.
Because he showed me all of these things after I started listening that I said, I will not deny you. Yeah. And so when he told me to do that, of course, in my mind, right, this is so bizarre that this could even work, that this could even really happen. But like you said, that listening and obeying, that's all I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So I knew that if I just did that I would reap the benefits.
You just summed up what it means to be a follower of Jesus in a pretty simple way, and it is that simple, because Jesus just said, follow me.
Yep.
And what did he mean when he said that? That 2,000 years ago when he was here on earth, he was saying, follow me, do what I say to do. Yeah. And that's all you're saying, is that each day you're just going, if you tell me to do something, if it's uncomfortable, if I feel awkward, I want to get in the habit of saying yes to that.
Yes.
And then you, since you've been on that journey to do that, you've gotten to see these amazing things, and this story being one of them. That day that you went over and knocked on Nino's window, had you been doing this long enough that it was just you didn't feel awkward or uncomfortable, or was it a little uncomfortable that day?
No, like you said, I had been doing it long enough. really following, and doing what I was asked. And like I said, in the back of my mind, when the Holy Spirit said, you're probably not going to be a candidate to give this guy a kidney. I mean, really, what are the chances?
Yeah.
Like, really, that's what was going through my mind. But the fact that the inkling behind it was, okay, maybe not a kidney, maybe just a hug, maybe just a shoulder, maybe just, hey, listen, I'm really sorry that you're going through this. I'm here if you want to talk. Here's my phone number. I know I'm a stranger. Just something that would let him know that he's not alone.
And that again is something that any of us can do on any day with any person.
Yes.
Right? When we feel that nudge, when we feel that little voice telling us to do that, we can do that. And we don't know where that journey will take us.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you've probably done that with many people.
Yeah.
Since you're saying that became kind of a pattern that you began to really listen to God and say yes to him.
Yeah.
That you've done that with many people that didn't turn into something as big as a kidney transplant.
Oh, yeah.
But so we don't know where, sometimes it is just an encouragement. And we'll never know probably until eternity how much that meant to them.
Right.
But this particular story, it actually did lead to something that was pretty big. So let me jump back over to you, Nino. Your sister played a pretty big role in this, right? So brag on your sister for a few moments.
Yeah. So my sister Laura lives in Houston, and I remember the day that the doctor said, you're going to need a transplant. I went back to the lobby after I met with them, and I just sat for a minute just to kind of gather all my thoughts. And my sister and I are really close.
Yeah.
So I called her from the lobby, and I told her the news. And she said, you know what, Nino, God will find you someone that'll help you. And in order to get a kidney, you have to have a designated caregiver. And my sister said, I'll be your caregiver. When this happens, I'll fly out. I'll stay with you as long as I need to. And so my sister was brainstorming, how do we help him get a kidney? And one of her ideas was to get a sticker on the back of my truck that said, I need a kidney, can you help? ? And then my email address. We created a new email address too, just for people to hit that. And at first I told her, no, that's kind of dorky, She said, no, I'm sending it to you. So when you get it, put it on. She's my baby sister.
Yeah, you don't say
but
no
I've
to
learned to
baby
listen
sister.
to her.
Yeah.
So my son and I put the sticker on when it arrived, and it kind of fit perfectly on the back of the bed. And so we put that on, and my sister also called from Houston all of the news stations here in Phoenix.
Wow.
And she said, listen, my brother needs a kidney. Would you guys like to do a story on him? And all 3 networks called me and came out to do a story on me.
She was getting the word out.
She was getting the word out. My mom is also very religious, so she was praying, and my sister's praying. And so all the news stations came out to my home. We did the interviews. It was pretty incredible. I got a lot of responses, a lot of emails, probably over 100 emails from people, even one from South Africa.
Really?
And so
encouraging emails?
Encouraging emails, and people saying, I'd like to help you. I'll donate my kidney. So I would respond to every single email by giving them my coordinator's name, thanking them and blessing them, and having them start the process of calling the coordinator. Well, a lot of good people out there in this world. When you hear such negative stories all over the world, there are good people.
Yes.
Unfortunately, none of them panned through. They probably saw the story, got emotional, shot me an email. But it was encouraging, that there's good people out there and they're willing to help. But nothing like the day that Renee tapped on my window.
Philosophers and theologians for 2,000 plus years have talked about beauty, truth, and goodness, that they're the fingerprints of God in our world, and human beings are created in the image of God. And we see a lot of evil. All you have to do is turn on the news and you see a lot of evil. But if you watch, if you look, you will also see beauty, truth, and goodness, the fingerprints of God in our world.
Yes.
And your story, like what you saw when the story started going out, is you saw that. You saw people responding and encouraging and reaching out. But that takes us back to Renee, that you're saying that a lot of those didn't follow through necessarily. Maybe they were emotional. So when you were walking down the road that day and you guys met, it's not like this a month later you guys went in and had this kidney transplant, right? It was a little bit of a journey. You had to stick with this for a while, right, Renee?
Yeah.
Took about 1 year and 8 months from the day she tapped on my glass to January 3rd.
Why so long?
Mostly on my end,
Yeah.
because I had issue after issue that I had to correct,
Yeah.
which took me off the
Like
list.
physical issues.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And Renee, I would tell Renee, you know, we'd call or text each other. And we text almost every day now.
Yeah.
But I would tell her, hey, listen, they're taking me off the list because of this issue or that issue. And Renee said, you know, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I'm sticking with you. This is going to happen. If I can help you, I will help you. I'm not going away, which was a comfort to me. You know, I found someone who really cares.
You found someone, I got to say this again, though. You found someone that you didn't even know who really cared.
Well, she found me.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, exactly. You know, again, it's just, I picture Jesus smiling in this whole story, right? Like when your sister is calling the news stations and she makes that little sticker for your truck. Jesus just had to be smiling, knowing where that was going to go.
Yeah.
She didn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
She had no idea that sticker was going to be put on your truck and it was going to be parked in a development that you were working in,
Right.
and someone who lived in the development was going to be walking her dogs and come by it. And so you just see God's hands in this whole story. That's just amazing to watch.
Yeah.
It's miraculous.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It really
truly
is.
miraculous.
What made you, so 1 year and 8 months you said? What made you stick with this during that time then?
Hey, from your No Gray Areas team, we just want to say thank you so much for listening. And if you're loving this episode, would you just take a moment and leave us a review and rating on whatever platform you're listening from? If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the new podcast episodes that drop every other Wednesday. By leaving a review and subscribing, you help others discover our podcast's inspirational messages to effectuate positive change in their lives. Okay, let's jump back into this episode.
What made you stick with this during that time then?
Listen, God never leaves us. Why would I leave him? I knew he was going to go through trials. I knew things were going to come up. Again, you know, when everything comes up, you think, oh, this is the sign. This is the one that's going to say, nope, this isn't going to happen. You're not a match, or he's not ready, you know. But again, I just would never do that. I'm a person of integrity. That's what God says. We don't just leave someone because they're going through a hard time. We don't just turn our back because we don't feel like we wanted. This is where God put me at the perfect time, the perfect place. I was not going to detour myself or talk to myself out of doing this for him. We kept in contact again. The beginning of it was really, kind of slow and just, basic stuff. Hey, can you go get your blood drawn? We need to just see if you guys are a match, right? I mean, are you guys a blood match? Could this even work? So, that starts out, and we're the exact same blood type.
How quickly did you find that out? Was that like within weeks, or did that take a month or two?
I want to say,
Probably about a month or two.
Probably about a month or two.
They wouldn't even check Renee unless some of my issues were moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember the day Renee called me and goes, oh my God, we're a blood match.
Yeah.
Which was like, wow, that's a huge hurdle.
Yeah.
Because you can't just mix someone's blood with someone else's. That's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And
not just a match compatible. We're the exact same blood type, A positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was crazy to me. Just like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Then a little bit more time went by, and he had that's when his heart stuff came back, and he just, said, hey, this is going to be on hold just for a little bit. I need to have some stuff done. And of course, again, my heart was sad. Like, he's already going through so much with diabetes, with dialysis, with kidney failure. And now this comes up, and I'm thinking, oh, what more is this man going to have to go through? And of course, I prayed with him. I told him, I'm praying for you every day. And he just said, I'm going to be put on hold. And I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be right here waiting. You just let me know. Nothing on my end has changed.
Yeah.
And so that happened, though. We, messaged back and forth through that, of course. And then after that was done, they called again and said, hey, can you go have some more blood drawn? And so they took about 20 vials of blood the second time.
Wow.
To basically test you for everything. Is there anything going on in your system that we should be concerned about? And that came back and nothing came up.
Wow.
Renee told me a while back, after a year and a half, year and 8 months of doing this, Renee said something to me that sticks with me today. She goes, God didn't bring us together all this time for anything to go wrong. And how true,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Like it says, if God brings you to it, he'll see you through it. And I just kept telling him that. He did not bring us this far to watch us fail. And he will not fail us.
Yeah.
At the moments where he was a little nervous or he kept asking, are you okay? Are you nervous?
Yeah.
And every time I said no, because God brings this peace over you that I will not fail you.
Yeah.
You have listened to my voice. You have obeyed exactly what I've asked you to do. Why would I let you down now? Right?
But Renee, I can see why, Nino, you probably had some doubts, and you were probably at times going, is she going to see it through? Because you were just telling us that you had a lot of people that reached out early on and then they just and then I think all of us in life, we've had people that have let us down with something. So it makes sense, right? That Nino was like, every once in a while, like, hey, you still with this thing? Did you have any doubters on your side, Renee? Did you have people that were going, what are you doing? You don't even know this guy.
Do you know how wonderful it is that the people in my life know me as well as they do, to know that this is who I am.
Yeah.
This is my heart. And I did not have my husband and my son are so wonderful to me.
Yeah.
But even my family, my mom, people who could have been or maybe should have been a little nervous of like, this is my baby girl. Like, this is my daughter. Like, what if something does happen to her? Like, but I did not have any naysayers. Not one person that came to me and was like, I don't know that you should do this. It's not a good idea. What if you die? What if? And I said, that's not up to you. That is up to God. And I'm going to do what he asked me to do. So just let it go. And again, no one, everyone was like, oh my gosh, you are? That's amazing. I think, too, though, in the back of their minds, they thought the same thing that we thought, which was the chances of this actually happening are like slim to none.
Yeah.
So I think they were kind of in the background going, okay, honey.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this is so amazing that you're willing to do this, but it's probably not going to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they never said, oh, we never thought this was going to happen. Like, we can't believe you're here right now. None of them. Everyone just literally just saw me right through. All my tests, when I would come back, they would text me, how did it go? How did you do? How did you? And we would be in communication, Nino and I, the whole time as well. So it really has been, again, the grace and the beauty that God bestows on us and people that love us. It's so beautiful to me.
Yeah. The community is so important, isn't it? And that's what I hear you saying is you have a community around you, your husband, your son, your family, that knows you well enough and knows that you're living your life in such a way that when you say yes to God, it's yes to God.
Yep.
And they're going to support you in that.
Yep.
So that's a beautiful thing. When you guys found out that it was a green light, how long before surgery? So January 3rd, you guys went in and you did this transplant. Back up before that, when did they say it's a go? Is it days or weeks? How long do you have?
It was a couple months.
Yeah.
A couple months.
It was a couple months.
We had to get it scheduled.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, I think we would have done it earlier when we had talked about everything going through, him being on the other side of the health stuff. All of my testing all came back. Everything was good. We really were like looking at our calendars going, okay, let's do it. We thought, honestly, November 29th was like a good time for us. It was after Thanksgiving. It was before Christmas. It was, time to heal in between.
Yeah.
And then when we talked to the coordinator, she was like, oh, my first available is January 3rd. And we were both like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're going to do it January 3rd.
Yeah.
So that's how it worked.
What was that like for you, Nino, when you found out like this is real, like this is gonna happen now?
I was like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. Thank God for having Renee in my life and seeing us through all this. But yeah, I was excited.
Mm-hmm.
My family was excited. My sister and my mom were super excited.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a great feeling to know that there's someone out there that's going to do this for you.
Yeah. So January 3rd, that's the day that you guys get wheeled. Did you see each other that day?
Oh, yeah. We had dinner the night before with our families. My son and my husband and his mom, his sister, and his children.
Yeah.
And so we all got to meet each other. That was one of our things. We really wanted our families to be involved in everything. And we wanted them to feel comfortable and close like we feel comfortable and close. You know, we've built over the last, 2 years, this beautiful friendship. And we wanted them to feel the same about each other, about being comfortable. And so we had this really nice dinner the night before.
You guys, all the families get together and you have dinner together.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's funny is my doctor said no eating after midnight the night before. Her doctor said only liquid you can eat.
For 3 days.
For 3 days.
Before. And
so
3
you're having
days
this big
after.
family dinner the night before and you don't get to eat anything. You're
I got
just
to
sipping
have
water.
ice cream. I had ice cream and pineapple juice
for
dinner. And you know what was so sweet, though? His sister, and we communicated a little bit on Facebook and stuff like that. And when I met her, I felt like I've known her my whole life.
Yeah.
But she, in honor of me, she ate the same thing I did.
Wow.
For dinner, because she just felt so, she was like, listen, if this is what you're having, this is what I'm going to have. In solidarity, totally supporting me. It was so sweet.
So how has this changed you, this whole story? I'll start with you, Nino. How has this changed you? Because you're obviously going through disappointments. You're not even sure if you're going to live through this in the early days of it. You're going through the dialysis 3 times a week, 4 hours a day. And then this person knocks on your window and then the story's unfolding, but it takes time. You don't know if it's going to work. And here you are on the other side of it. It's about 6 weeks out for surgery. How has this changed you?
So I think the biggest change is I'm deeper into my faith. I've never really been religious.
Yeah.
I mean, I know good from bad and what's good to do and what's bad to do. But since that, and maybe even a little bit before the surgery, just hanging out with Renee and her husband, I've really got a sense that I got to get closer to God than I have been. And so it's a good feeling to be close to God.
Yeah.
It really is. I talk to him every day.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I talk to my father too. He's passed away a couple years ago. And so it's just it's a warmth that I have inside, knowing that my faith is super, super strong.
Yeah. What about you, Renee? How has this changed you, or has it?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure more things will come up, down the line of how much this has changed me. Again, it's renewed my faith.
Yeah.
It's renewed my love for God, and just knowing and feeling like if he can use me to do this, he can use anyone, right? It's just that that affirmation of no matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, God is going to use you in a mighty way. You just have to let him know that you're available.
Yeah.
And, I want to just say, this mainly this podcast is about choices and choices that we make. And before, I want you to know how really this is so miraculous that this happened, just period, how this happened.
Mm-hmm.
But the beginning of this whole thing is even more amazing to me, because I don't even know how we got here. My husband and I, years ago, we both had 6-figure jobs, and God told us to quit our jobs and sell everything we owned and travel to spread the good news of the Lord. And we did. Boats, cars, houses. We gave it all away. And when we started to travel, it was even more of a blessing knowing that we were doing this for him, and we met beautiful people and we saw beautiful things. And, we were coming home just to celebrate the holidays with our families, and we were going to hit the road again. There's so many beautiful things here and so many wonders that God has created that we really, really wanted to see. Mm-hmm. And when we got back to town, the place we were supposed to stay didn't work out. And somehow we ended up in a mobile home park in Casa Grande, Arizona, and then decided to stay because my husband was offered his dream job. We sold the motor coach and rented a house in Nino's neighborhood.
Man, again, you just see how God orchestrated this whole thing, right?
I mean, how beautiful to think way back then when we didn't even know what was happening. We didn't even know what was coming. We weren't even prepared. And God had this all planned out.
Wow. Any regrets?
Oh, no.
None at all.
None.
Especially on my side.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
no.
I bet. Yeah,
no
regrets for you.
No, I would do it all over again.
Yeah.
I wish I could give more. I wish I could do more. I wish there's part of me that I could give to someone else. Like it almost makes me sad that, I can't give something else to someone else.
If I summed up what we've talked about today, I think, again, it goes back to the power of making the choice of simply saying yes to God. Like the reason that you two are sitting here with me in the story today is that's what happened. And it's a great reminder for me, for our audience, that given enough time, we will not regret those times when we say yes to God, right? And and God has given us the power and complexity of human choice. He's given us the choice of not saying yes.
Yep.
He's given us the opportunity to say no if we want to, but we will not regret saying yes. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, so many things, like Renee said, she was traveling long before any of this. I mean, it would have been easy for me to be off that day and she'd not see my truck. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I could have not been on the phone in the truck. So God had a plan, and he let us follow it.
Yeah.
The details, I think, are, every little detail, the moments, the time frame. Yeah. If you don't believe, I hope you do now.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And that's what's so fascinating about this story. And that's what you were doing, Renee, is you're backing us up, like even your story, to be in that community that day. You have to back up years to you and your husband making that decision that we're going to step away from these jobs and these opportunities that we have to do something that we think God is calling us into. So your story and how you guys met is, for both of you, is going back months and years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, how can someone get a hold of you? For one thing, you both said that you would love to share your story more and take this opportunity to share it more. So if our listeners wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
So God, in my life, God's told me to share this story with any way I can. And Renee has agreed to do that with me. So we'd like to do some speaking engagements, just to share the story. And it might open up someone's eyes and heart to also step forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Best way to reach me, they can either call me or send me an email. So my cell phone is 480-861-2494. And my email, you can use my personal email, Nino_DiGiulio at Yahoo. So NINO_DIGIULIO at Yahoo. It's a mouthful.
Yes, and we'll have that because there's people driving right now listening to this, trying to swerve off the road and write this down.
Don't swerve.
We will, don't get in a car accident here. We'll actually put that in the description when we drop this podcast, and that information will be there for them. How would they get a hold of you, Renee?
The same, either phone number or email. My phone number is 480-216-0469, and my email is Hudson, HUDSON, 1320 at yahoo.com.
I would really encourage our audience, if they know of opportunities, I have zero doubt that they have been motivated and encouraged, challenged by this today. And so if there's opportunities that they can see to get you into a place where you can share your story with more people and get your story out, we'd love to have that happen.
Yeah, don't hesitate.
Absolutely.
Reach out.
Yes.
I'd love to talk to you. If you have other issues going on that I could help with, I would love to just be there for someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe even someone is Renee, your story has maybe made someone think like, hey, maybe I should do that, and Nino, you sharing how many people are on that list on a given day that are needing a kidney. And so maybe some people just have some questions about that journey and they want to help save a life that way.
I had a lady reach out to me not too long ago. She sent me an email. She said, I saw your story on the news. My husband needs a kidney. And he's really depressed. Would you mind giving him a call? And I jumped on the phone immediately. And I set something up to speak to him. And she called me back after a couple of days. She said, thank you so much for reaching out to my husband. So things like that, even if someone is feeling like that, just reach out.
Yeah. And if you have questions too, just about how do you go about this? What testing is involved? There's a lot that goes into it as far as being healthy, like you really are limited. Nino and I joke around about it a lot because you can't smoke, you can't drink, you can't use marijuana, you can't have a certain diet. They ask a lot of things of you to not, and he's like, well, none of my friends will qualify.
when my nephrologist gave me the list of things that don't qualify, I said, man, you've eliminated a lot of the people I know.
So you needed a stranger to knock on your window at that point. Yeah. Well, man, both of you, Nino, Renee, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I know for myself and for our audience, it was a reminder of what I said earlier. There is beauty, truth, goodness. And if you will just step back and look, there's plenty of examples of evil. Yeah. But it's around, and your story is one of those. Yeah. It's a beautiful story. It's just the truth of the value of saying yes to God. It shows that there's goodness. We see the fingerprints of God in people. We're creating the image of God, and your story is a beautiful picture of that. So I appreciate it so much for you sharing it.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, one of the things we do, which is kind of a fun way to end each of our podcasts, we do 2 truths and a lie. It's ironic because this is called No Gray Areas. I'm going to ask you to lie. I just want you to give me, and we'll start with you, Nino. You're going to give me 3 statements. 2 of them will be truths. 1 will be a lie. I and our audience have to try to guess which one is a lie. And I want you to know I've been on a pretty good run lately. I've been right the last 3-4 times or so.
Okay.
All right.
So I sat in the dugout of a Chicago Cubs game.
Okay.
Once. I sat next to Muhammad Ali on an airplane flying to Hawaii. And I've been married 3 times.
Oh, those. Wow. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go with the Chicago Cubs as true. That's the true. All right. Because you look like someone who sat in the dugout of the Chicago. Okay, so I got a 50-50 chance now. Muhammad Ali, sitting next to Muhammad Ali, that's the lie.
Nope.
Oh, you got me. Really? You sat next to Muhammad Ali?
It was crazy. My father used to work for the Italian airline Alitalia. And so we got to travel quite a bit for free.
Yeah.
And when we would check in, they usually would upgrade us to first class if it was available. Now, today's, you can't get any kind of upgrade, but back then there was seats available. So we checked in, they put us in first class, and right next to me was Muhammad Ali. He had 2 bodyguards in front, 2 bodyguards in the back, and he had 1 row. And so when I sat down, he was like really nice.
Yeah, yeah.
So we got to talking a little bit, and I remember getting off of the plane and going down the jetway. All the news cameras were like walking backwards, he had me around his arm getting off the plane. So it was really
so you're cool walking down. You're on news. You're feeling famous. You got to see for a moment how the famous live, right?
Yeah.
Wow, what a cool story! And you got to visit with him some on the plane then?
Yeah. We spoke the whole way. He was a little nervous. Those plastic emergency cards.
Yeah.
He was going like this the whole flight until it broke in half.
Yeah.
But he was the champion, and it was incredible.
Wow. That's good. All right, you got me. All right, now we're going to check you, Renee. See if you can get me three statements.
Okay, I have 30 tattoos.
Okay.
I was in the adult entertainment industry.
Okay.
And I was a single mom for 20 years.
I'm going to say the tattoos is true because I saw when your sleeve pulled up, you got a lot of tattoos on your arm.
I do.
All right, so 30 tattoos? Is that true?
Nope.
No. Okay, I was on a run and you guys both ruined it. Okay, so what's the number?
15.
15 tattoos.
I have 15 tattoos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, both of you. I really, really appreciate you being here and loved hearing your stories. And I really want to encourage our audience, reach out to these
Please
two.
do.
Let's get their story out. These are the kind of stories we need to hear more of. So thank you.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you for tuning in to this compelling episode on the No Gray Areas podcast. If you enjoyed hearing Nino and Renee's inspiring story, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our No Gray Areas podcast YouTube channel for more.